Good evening. We've got a couple people joining us in the Zoom webinar. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Martin. Just so you all know, I can't see or hear any of you. I'm watching names show up on the side of my screen, but I'm sorry, that's alarming. My live stream Zoom is running right now. There we go. Sorry about that. We won't be able to see or hear any of you, but you will, of course, see and hear all of us as we perform for you tonight. And we're so happy to have you with us because we have a really fantastic lineup. As I'm sure you know, Bowen Island is packed full of incredibly talented individuals, and we've got a whole bunch of them lurking on the other side of this Zoom room here to entertain you this evening. Tonight's event is called Love Letters, and it's a celebration of Valentine's and of love in all of its forms, because Monday, of course, is Family Day, and the day before that is Valentine's Day. So we're tying in those two themes together tonight. Just allow a few more people to join us on YouTube and on Zoom. And sorry, admin work. All right. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our first act. These are first-time Theatre on the Isle performers. They compiled a book years ago called Love Letters, and it's a collection of various love letters written across time, across different situations, and they have put together a special greatest hits list that they're going to present to us tonight. So it's my pleasure to welcome Paul and Audrey Gresco.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to start with a Valentine that was also a proposal of marriage. A Scottish law passed 700 years ago allowed a woman to propose marriage in a leap year. And 1864 was the leap year when Anne Cairns created a combination Valentine and a proposal of marriage and sent it to David McNaughton, who lived in the same Quebec town that she did.
I've often wished to have a friend with whom my choicest hours to spend, to whom I softly might impart each wish and weakness of my heart, who might me in my sorrow cheer, or mingle in a grief a tear. And to secure my happiness till life doth end, I wish that friend to be my husband. Will you be that friend? Donald accepted Anne's proposal, and they were married the following year and lived together for many years. Right. As a young man, Sir John Sparrow David Thompson, a Methodist, created a code so that he could write to Annie Affleck, whose Catholic family in Halifax disapproved of him. In 1869, he wrote an innocuous letter to Annie, which concealed this ciphered message.
My own baby dear, yesterday morning, the first thing after breakfast, I went to see if the mail had come, for I had been thinking the time is long, Annie's letters could come. The mail had not come in, but presently a wagon stopped at the house and a valise was left, but no letters, and I felt just as if I had not a friend in the world. But soon afterwards, Daniel came in with my darling's letters in his hand. My heart jumped up to the ceiling, but I put them into my pocket until I could kiss them all four before reading them. My own pet, there never were such darling notes written before. They made me so happy, and I laughed over them and kissed them. Darling, it seems so long since I got a petting from Annie. Darling, I wish I could give you a kiss now and get a box on my ear. and then a hug and a kiss and be called your darling. And won't you give me a lot when I come home? My pet, I pray God to bless pet, whatever becomes of me, and to make her happy all her life. Goodbye, goodbye, my own baby, your own boy.
Well, this passionate man was Canada's fourth Prime Minister from 1892 to 1894, and he played a crucial role in developing the Criminal Code of Canada.
In 1971, Pierre Trudeau,
Speaking of prime ministers.
Speaking of prime ministers, but not the prime minister, but Pierre Michel Trudeau. He was on leave from his job in Gillam, Manitoba, and was touring Europe when he met Mercedes Roman, who lived in Bilbao in Spain. They spent 53 days getting to know one another before he returned to Canada, after promising Mercedes they would be married within a year. Over a 440-day separation, they wrote letters in English because he didn't speak Spanish and she didn't speak French. They were married in 1973 in Spain and came to Canada to live in Vanier, Ontario.
Here are excerpts from two of Mercedes' letters. The Spanish word sorpresa means surprise. Pierre, amor mío, I'm very, very happy because I have given to you sorpresa with my big photo. But now I have sorpresa because you tell me I'm pretty and beautiful. You never tell me that before. You tell me I have great personality. It's true. Everywhere the people tell me. I think perhaps I have excess the personality. Pierre, I have sorpresa désagréable. You don't like to destroy all photos of your girlfriends. Mercedes is very sad. If it's true, and if I'm the queen of your heart, what pain can you to have? I think all it does is to render turbid our felicity. What does it matter? Mercedes suffer and Mercedes die pain. What does it matter?
Pierre writes to Mercedes from Gillam. Mercedes, your eyes drive me crazy, loco. When I look you on the photo, I concentration my mind inside your eyes. All my body is electrified. Mercedes, Pierre thinks when the first night we're together for honeymoon, I'd be really loco. The happiness. You can't imagine how I need your affection, sex of you. I make the sacrifice to wait for you. Not easy, believe me. All this sacrifice for love, you can't imagine. 34 days before going to Spain for their wedding, Pierre wrote, I just thinks about you all the time. I am profundo meditation. I'm in love more at never. Pierre also have electricity across all my body. When I look you in your eyes on the photo, you are an angel. I am so proud of you. God, give me really a pearl. Viva Mercedes Roman, my only love of life. Viva España. Viva Canada. Viva our love. 2 in 1.
On their 47th wedding anniversary this past May, Mercedes fell and broke a hip. She recovered from surgery, but slid into dementia and has been isolated in a care home because of COVID. But Pierre wrote to us, I have faith better, finer days are coming. You probably know that Dave Whitty and his son started the Bowen Beer and Wine Store. But before Dave became the Dean of Architecture at the University of Manitoba and the Vice President at Vancouver Island University, he was a college student in Waterloo, smitten with Margaret Mitchell, a lovely nurse in training in Winnipeg. In 1967, he wrote this letter.
Dearest Marg, never before have I felt so frustrated, confused, and lonely. This past 2 weeks have been long and endless. Your voice sounds so pretty, so near, yet it too is frustrating. I'm lost for words, and I want to tell you so many things, but the call ends, and I wander around empty, lost. Marg, what can I do or say to you to show how much I need you? You're my whole life, but so far away that I worry about you. You see, I'm very jealous at times, and now is one of those times. Not jealous in the normal sense of the word. Rather, I'm jealous of all Winnipeg, of the patients, of guys who pass you on the street, for they see you or talk to you. And I'm jealous, for I must be content with letters and your pretty voice. It's bubbly and full of life. I wish to touch your face, run my fingers along your nose, under your eyes, until I cover your cheeks with my hands and pull you to me, feeling the touch of warm lips of love, of a body so loving, so tender. But now I must say goodnight. In less than 1 year, I'll say goodnight, whispering in your ear the love that I have for you. And as you fall tenderly into my arms and close your eyes, I will then realize that no other human could have been so happy. Good night, my love. I am yours forever, Dave.
Dave and Marg married in 1968 and remained crazy about one another until her very sad death, 47 years later.
Sarah Haxby is our community school coordinator and a perennial community volunteer. When she was just 19 and working in a shopping mall, she was asked to point out the cutest man she saw. She picked Jeff, a PhD student at the University of Washington. Jeff just happened to be in the mall with a friend of Sarah's who introduced them. They began writing letters.
Dear Jeff, tonight I went to Killarney Lake in the dark and walked out into the middle of the lake, given that it was frozen enough to do this. Ice in moonlight and the whalish sounds of ice expanding and the stresses that puts on the great plates of the ice cause a haunting sound I find most alluring, a wordless echoing sound. Do you know the sound? Very haunting. A friend gave me a sparkler, so when I was out in the middle of the lake, I lit it and wheeled around under the great, almost full-term waxing moon, spinning madly with this sparkler until I was quite dizzy and the stars kept spinning. I have found too few people who share my notion of magic and even the romance of going out on such a night. A solitary form of romance suits me better than listening to mundane comparisons. I am quite sure you would have been quiet and listened to the ice with me, if perhaps you did not fully understand what I meant when I said the magic. You would surprise me with your intuition on the subject. I wish to ramble on, to keep contact with you just a little longer, knowing perhaps that your eyes will linger on these pages and sense a little bit of Bowen is still with you, and a little bit of me too. Please don't get lost to me, Jeff. I do fear that I will lose contact with you and worry about you for a year or so, or until the next time I hear from you. 2 years ago, after a 15-year interruption in their correspondence, Sarah and Jeff resumed writing. a testament to the power of letters, says Sarah.
In 1993, Jane Eaton Hamilton, a writer of fiction and poetry in Toronto, met Joy Masuhara, a Japanese-Canadian medical doctor in Vancouver. Jane was an out lesbian. Joy, although married, thought she might be lesbian too. The pair fell in love and lived together. With the humor typical of their relationship, Joy sent Jane a card with a photo of a very old woman stretching.
Hey, honey, a bunny, bull bunnykins, ding dong d'amour, etc., etc. This is what we'll both be like when we're 80 and living somewhere south and swinging with the best of them. I will likely be addled enough to call you things like foofy. We'll bomb around on our matching scooters, giggling like schoolgirls, and when everyone's looking, I'll grab your boobs somewhere near your waist and plant a big slobbery kiss on your dentured mouth. Your smile will be perfect, and I'll still be perfectly in love with you. Yours forever, Joy.
5 years later, Tess showed a lump in Joy's breast. Jane wrote her a Valentine's Day card.
I know February is a long, tough month for you, made worse this year, but I want you to know, if it helps, how much I care for you. Not just the love part, which is extreme, but the regular, everyday admiration, because you're such a good woman, intelligent, funny, generous, thoughtful, kind, a good partner. No matter what happens, Joy, know that these 5 years with you have been the most invigorating and satisfying of my life. You've taught me the meaning of partnership, of love. All my love now and forever, Jane.
Joy did recover from the cancer. She and Jane became involved in the challenges to Canadian law to allow same-sex marriage. And when the law was changed in June 2003, they were married.
Nice end to our love stories. Well, as Paul says, if you want to find more about love, our book is in the Bowen Island Library. Thanks for listening to our letters.
It's called the Book of Love, Book of Love Letters.
Oh my goodness. Thank you both so much for sharing those with me. I was definitely brought to tears many times. So thank you. That was a beautiful, beautiful gift. And I'll be sure to revisit your book. I'll try to leave it be in the library so that somebody else can have a look at it soon.
Yeah, there are 2 copies.
We'll take turns.
Okay. We'll be watching now.
We'll be watching.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now, one of the letters that we heard read tonight was written by Sarah Haxby, a longtime Bowen Islander, one of my favorite people. And we have up next in our lineup, Sarah Haxby's mother, Helen Walwork, who is one of the founding members of Theatre on the Isle. You would have seen her all over the place on Bowen Island over the years, because like her daughter, she is a perennial volunteer. It's my pleasure to welcome Helen Walwork to the stage.
Thank you, Kat. I just have the one letter to read tonight. And this letter is about family love. As Kat said, there's many, many shapes and forms of love, as Audrey and Paul just read as well. So this letter was written by my father, Sarah's grandfather, in London, 24th of January, 1942. He had just come off his boat because he was in the Royal Navy. The boat was called HMS Formidable, and he wrote this letter to his sister, whose name is Dorothy, and he calls her Doe. Dear Joe, Cliff, and family. Well, my God, you shouldn't spring surprises like that on me. Here have I been thinking all the time you're far too full of common sense to do anything so lovely as having a kidlet with a war on. Thank goodness you aren't. And all my sincerest congratulations and compliments, my dear. It really is the grandest bit of news I've ever received. I'm ever so glad. I received your letter last night, just as I was going ashore, so I took it with me and opened it over a pint of Guinness. When I got to the last paragraph, I read and reread it until the full import of it sunk in. And I was so pleased and excited that I had to tell someone. So much to his astonishment, I turned around to the Irish bricklayer who was sitting next to me and shouted in his ear, "I'm going to be an uncle! What'll you have?" And stood him and me a double Jameson on the spot. So he or she is already baptized. You know, I have felt all along that the life you are living has been a wee bit aimless. I may be wrong, but to me, work and careers are merely a means to an end. But now you have something definite to live and work for, something to add a new interest and fascination to life. I think I envy you. You are creating something, and in a way you should feel a bit like Beethoven before his first. Anyhow, good luck, kids. Look after yourself, Doe. I feel very proud and happy at the thought of being an uncle, believe me. Thank you ever so much for saying so many nice things about me in your last letter. I suppose I'm a bit older now, and I hope I've got a bit more sense, but I'm still sure my spelling has not improved an iota. I'm sorry Dad is being a bit grumpy, but you know, it's only his frugal soul hearing the coins clinking down for baby linen, etc. Wait till he gets the babby on his knee. Even Bunty'll get her little black nose out of joint. I only hope you are both feeling as happy as I am. It might be my own baby. I feel so pleased and proud. Bless you both. And in the name of Pan, you've given me the biggest kick of my life, and I'm as excited as a 2-year-old. But I'll bet you this, if it's a boy, and if there's any truth in Mendel, it won't grow up teetotal, and it'll have an ear for music. Lotions of love to you both, and the Kinder. Les. My dad's letter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Helen.
Yeah.
Don't mind my appearance. That was just beautiful. I love just the wealth of expression in the name of Pan, all these great things, and all those letters that Paul and Audrey read too. We all need to get back in the habit of writing more letters to each other. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Helen. What a beautiful memory from your family.
I'll say goodbye.
Now, some of you may be aware that we have a bit of a shortage of male actors on the island. So every now and then a situation arrives in which one must do what one can, which in my case is take out the mustachery and man up. I'm here to perform with my good friend Bronwyn Churcher. I cut a little excerpt from a beloved play by A.R. Gurney. It's called Love Letters. I edited it with reckless abandon and utter disregard for the original text or order or context of the scenes. I just picked some bits that I thought would play well here. So I welcome to the stage my good friend Bronwyn. Dear Melissa, remember me? Andy lad? They've sent me to camp so I can be with all boys again. This is quiet hours, so we have to write home, but I've already done that, so I'm writing you. There's a real Indian here named Iron Crow who takes us on nature walks and teaches us 6 new plants a day. This is okay, except he forgot about poison ivy. I won the backstroke, which gives me 2.5 gold stars. And if I get over 50 gold stars by Parents' Day, then I win a leadership prize, which is what my father expects of me. I'm making a napkin ring and shop. which is worth 4 stars, which is either for my mother or for you. I hope you'll write me back, because when the mail comes every morning, they shout out our names, and it would be neat to walk up and get a letter from a girl.
Help! Yikes! No, I can't write letters. It took me hours just to write Dear Andy. I write my father because I miss him so much, but to write a boy? How's bells? I'm sending you this picture that I drew of our cat instead. Don't you love his expression? It's not quite right, but I tried 3 times. I drew those jiggle lines around his tail because sometimes the tail behaves like a completely separate person. I love that tail. There's a part of me that feels like that tail. Oh, and here's some bad news. My mother's gotten married again to a man named Hooper McPhail. Help! Let me out of here.
I liked the cat. Is that the cat you threw in the pool that time when we were playing over at your house in 3rd grade?
No, that was a different cat entirely.
This is a dumb Halloween card and wouldn't scare anyone, but I'm really writing about dancing school. My parents say I have to go this year, but I don't see why I have to. I can't figure out why they keep sending us away from girls and then telling us we have to be with them. Are you going to dancing school also? Just write yes or no since you hate writing. Dear Mrs. McPhail, I want to apologize to you for my behavior in the back of your car coming home last night from dancing school. Charlie and I were just goofing around, and I guess it just got out of hand. I'm sorry you had to pull over to the curb, and I'm sorry we tore Melissa's dress. My father says you should send me the bill, and I'll pay for it out of my allowance.
Dear Andy, Mommy brought your letter up here to Lake Placid. She thought it was cute. I thought it was dumb. I could tell your father made you write it. You and I both know that the fight in the car was really Charlie's fault. And Charlie never apologized, thank God. That's why I like him, actually. As for you, you shouldn't always do what your parents want, Andy. Even at dancing school, you're always just doing the right thing all the time. You're a victim of your parents sometimes. That's why I picked Charlie to do the rumba with me that time. He at least hacks around occasionally. I'm enclosing a picture I drew of a dancing bear on a chain. That's you. Andy, sometimes I swear.
I know it seems jerky, but I like writing, actually. I like writing compositions for English. I like writing letters. I like writing you. I wanted to write that letter to your mother because I knew you'd see it. So it was like talking to you when you weren't here. And when you couldn't interrupt, hint, hint. My father says everyone should write letters as much as they can. It's a dying art. He says letters are a way of presenting yourself in the best possible light to another person. And I think that too.
I think you sound too much like your father, but I'm not going to argue by mail. And anyway, the skiing's too good.
Get well soon. Sorry you broke your leg.
Mommy says I broke it purposefully because I'm a self-destructive person and went down Whiteface Mountain without asking permission. All I know is I wish I'd broken my arm instead so I'd have a good excuse not to write letters. I'm enclosing a picture that I drew of the bedpan. I'm serious. Don't you love its shape?
Andrew M. Ladd III accepts with pleasure the kind invitation of Mrs. R. Ferguson Brown for a dinner in honor of her granddaughter, Melissa Gardner, before the Children's Charity Ball.
I'm writing this letter because I'm scared if I called you up, I'd start crying right on the telephone. I'm really mad at you, Andy. Don't you know that when you're invited to a dinner before a dance, you're supposed to dance with the person giving it at least twice? And I don't mean my grandmother either. That's why they give dinner parties, so people get danced with. I noticed you danced with Ginny Waters, but you never danced with me once. I just think it's rude, that's all. Straight up and fly right, Andy. How do you expect to get anywhere in life if you're rude to women? Nuts to you, Andy, and that goes double on Sunday.
I didn't dance with you because I've got a stretched groin. If you don't know what that means, just look it up sometime. I was going to tell you in person, but I got embarrassed. I stretched it playing hockey last week. The only reason I danced with Ginny Waters is she takes tiny steps, but you always make me do those big spins and we could have gotten into serious trouble. I tried it out at home with my mother first and it hurt like hell. That's why I didn't dance with you. I'm using a heating pad now, and maybe we can dance next week at the junior assemblies.
I don't believe that hockey stuff. I think Ginny Waters stretched your groin. And next time you cut in, I'm going to stretch the other one.
Huh? You obviously don't know what a groin is.
You obviously don't know what a joke is. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Guess what? I'm going to a psychiatrist now. My mother says it will do me a world of good. Don't tell anyone, though. It's supposed to be a big secret.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I have a question, and would you please write the answer by mail? Because sometimes when you call, my mother listens on the telephone, and when she doesn't, my little brother does. So here's the question. Do you talk about sex with the psychiatrist?
I talk about sex all the time. It's terribly expensive, but I think it's worth it.
No. Oh. If I went to a psychiatrist, I'd talk about you. Seriously. I would. I think about you quite often.
Sometimes I think you like me because I'm richer than you are. Sometimes I really have that feeling. I think you like the pool and the elevator in my grandmother's house and Simpson in his butler's coat coming in with ginger ales and cookies on a silver tray. I think you like all that stuff just as much as you like me.
Well, all I know is my mother keeps saying you'd make a good match. She says if I ever married you, I'd be set up for life. But I think it's really just physical attraction. That's why I liked going into the elevator with you at your grandmother's that time. Do you want to try it again? Do you get out for Easter? We don't because of the war.
We do, but I don't. I've been grounded just for smoking one lousy Chesterfield light out behind the art studio. So now I have to stay here and eat stale ham with all the Californians. That's all right. I was supposed to meet Mommy in New York, but it looks like she can't be there anyway because she's going to Reno to divorce Hooper McPhail. Yay! Yippee! He was a jerk and a pill. Help! Let me out of here. They shipped me off to this nunnery. It's the end of the absolute world. We have to wear these sappy midi blouses and learn posture in gym and speak French out loud in class. Aide-moi, mon chevalier. Oh God, it's crappy here. All the girls squeal and shriek, and you can hear them barfing in the bathroom after the evening meal. We can only go to Hartford one day a week if we can find a chaperone, and there are only 2 dances with boys a year. And if we're caught drinking even beer, it's wham bam on the train next home, and that's even worse. Can you come visit me some Sunday afternoon? We can invite boys to tea from 4 to 6. There are all these biddies sitting around keeping watch, but if the weather's good, we could walk up and down the driveway before we have to sign in for evening prayers. They made me room with this fat, spoiled bitch who has 9 pairs of shoes, and all she does is lie in her bed and listen to Finian's Rainbow. The walls of the cell are puke green, and you can't pin up anything except school banners and pictures of your stupid family. What family? Come save me, Andy, or at least write, just so I hear a boy's voice, even on paper.
I just got your last 2 letters. They shipped me off too. Last minute decision. Your mother told my mother it would do me good. She said I was a diamond in the rough. I'll write as soon as I'm smoother.
Dear Diamond, you too? Ugh, I give up. Why do they keep pushing us together, then pulling us apart? I think we're all being brought up by a bunch of Foolish farts. Now we'll have to write letters, which I hate, but don't let them smooth you out, Andy. I like the rough parts. In fact, sometimes I think you ought to be a little rougher. Love, me.
Will you be my Valentine?
Were you the one who sent me a Valentine saying, will you be my Valentine?
Yeah, I sent it.
Then I will be. Unless I have to kiss you.
That's the end of that one. That was an excerpt from Love Letters by A.R. Gurney, featuring myself, Cat Stevens, and the lovely Bronwyn Churcher. We have 2 more acts to share with you tonight. We're closing out the evening with 2 fabulous local legend poets. So it's my absolute delight to introduce Susan Alexander.
Thanks so much, Kat. And thank you, and Bronwyn and Helen and Paul and Audrey. What a great evening. I loved all the stories. I love the romp through love. And gosh, I sure would like to talk to Helen's dad. So my poem, I'm just going to read a very short poem, and it's called Obad. And Obad is just a traditional mourning poem in which a lover complains about having to separate from his beloved or her beloved. And I just sort of did a little twist on this. Obad. After we open each other, head to toe, I cannot so easily close. I defy my loss, even while you lie beside me. Always, I want more of the everything I just owned. I am an imperialist in love. I want to occupy you with my armies, claim every wood and creek of you. I want full possession. Yet, because I love, I allow you, lost in sleep now, your darling freedom. You'll never know how close you came to losing. It's from my new book. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Sorry. That was very funny and beautiful. Thank you so much, Susan. That was delightful. I'm so glad you were able to join us tonight. And now we're at the end of our program. We have but one more performance for you tonight, and it is a fabulous one. This is a poem read by another local legend, and she wrote this as a love letter to her wonderful partner, Paul Huson, another one of our favorite people. And she submitted this poem into a competition, and it came in 3rd place. And she's here to share it with us tonight. Come on in, Jude Neal.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Good to see. That was lovely, Susan. I loved it. My poem was a poem I wrote for my husband about aging, because we've been together in our 3 decades now, and we have noticed that we're starting to decline a little and maybe not look quite the same as we did. But so I call this a quiet coming of light. Dearest Polly, a spray of moonlight fell like pewter beads onto the petaled earth. I made up sly Russian dance steps to ambush you, a curl of smoke crawling under a tightly closed door. But oh, dearest husband. How my hair's white as china and brittle as branches, and I still want you to want me more than our own small complaints. I kept your life secrets taped to my mattress in drawers with no handles and cuttlebone knives. You see, I wore you like perfume under the moon with the roses. Your skin stretched and settled round mine. I remember the press of your lips on the pathway when we became part of a quiet coming of light. I'm giving a launch on Zoom on the 24th of February for my new book called The River Answers, and I'm inviting anyone who would be interested in hearing more of my poetry to come out. Thank you, Kat, Susan, Paul and Audrey, Helen, Bronwyn, everyone for this wonderful opportunity to read to you tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Jude. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And thank you to your stage manager we saw lurking in the corner there. What a wonderful evening. Thank you to each and every one of our performers. Let's get them all back out here one more time to have a group bow and say goodnight and receive your accolades, which will pour in through the screen. Yes, bravo. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
This was
Kat. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks for
guys.
the
Thank you.
Great to be
opportunity.
with you.
So fun.
So lovely.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be back again next month for another episode of Inside the Actors Quarantine. We're going to be bringing a little bit of Shakespeare for you, some Bard on the Broadband, since we can't do Bard on the Rock this year. So we'll see you on March the 4th. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy your long weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Family Day. Take care.
And you.
Good night.
Bye-bye, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.